Welcome back to World Sim Series and welcome to the Premium Sprint Challenge here from Vallelunga on the outskirts of Rome. This track, well, it is a real Italian motorsport classic. It's quite a circuit with two different sides to it, with the very, very fast initial section of the circuit with super high speed corners all the way through Sector 1. Then in the middle of Sector 2, you get into a very Mickey Mouse sort of section with hairpin after hairpin after hairpin. So it does require different setups from the drivers. It does require different mentalities from the drivers. First up this evening, it's the M235i Cup cars. And they'll have two races of 15 minutes, and then we'll have the endurance race with the 235i Cup cars and the GT3 cars. That will be a 45-minute race coming up afterwards. And as always, I'm joined by Lodinas.
Welcome aboard and welcome to the second round. So after the first round, we have our current series leaders. First position belongs to this driver from Germany, Jan Nemts. He won both of the races. In the second position currently is Matas Mendeles, and the third place belongs to Talianos. Simon Speth and Toras Tunila follow the top three drivers pretty much closely, and they came here today to try and do a little bit better than the previous week. And as we've already seen, well, the first race was a nice introduction to this series, and we have seen competition that we haven't seen for a very long time on the World Sim Series platform. So I'm really eager to see how the race will go on this afternoon. And looking at the gap between the first and the second place, it's very unusual situation where you see the fastest car driven by the German driver leading the second placed driver only by 600th of a second. So I'm really sure there's going to be a huge competition this afternoon, no less as it was 2 weeks ago. And since the qualifying session time has already ran out, we have the drivers on the racetrack finishing their lap times, trying to do a little bit better. It looks like Talianos is trying to give his best on this racetrack because he knows that he can snatch the pole position, because Jan Nemts is already back in the pit lane. Toras Tunila just jumped into the third place for the starting grid as we continue our journey around the Vallelunga racetrack with Talianos, who is currently third in the standings.
We'll see if Talianos, but he, I believe, is on an outlap if the screen is correct, so it might not be an improvement. We'll see if there is anything happening here. And I think it was an outlap. Yep. So it is Jan Nims on pole, but just by 600ths of a second. I think Matas Mendeles on an outlap as well. Looks like it. Yes. So no more improvements from anyone else. It's Jan Nims on pole ahead of Talianos, ahead of Tunila, ahead of Speth, then Mendeles, Grodinis, Rahmanian, Abdelhadi, Lapo, and Blumke. That is your top 10. Will be very interesting to see what happens down into turns. Well, it is turn 2 and 3, which is the super fast right and left. And then you've got the big braking zone at the end of the the short straight after those few turns. So it should be very, very interesting. We're using the classic configuration of the circuit, cutting out the appendix that was built more recently. So the track it becomes a little bit different. Maybe loses a little bit of speed, but gains a few more high-speed turns. So, let's see what happens here.
Well, there should still be plenty of slipstream opportunities for the drivers, and drafting works pretty well for these BMWs, at least what we've witnessed 2 weeks ago. It was really tight on the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, and hopefully we will see a very similar scenario this afternoon and on the track located in Italy. Hopefully we will have similar nice racing action. Jan Nims on the left side of our screens and Talianos on the right side. Tauras Tunila starting from third. He will try his best to overtake the faster drivers approaching turns 1 and 2.
As the drivers get ready to get going for race 1 here tonight. And we're off. Jan Nims looks to have gotten a decent enough start, but Talianos is side by side. Looks like maybe he was just that little bit quicker off the line. Tunila holds on to third for the time being. Actually, it gets in front of Speth, manages to do that, but he'll have a chance at Talianos now, who's on the outside. He's going to be touching the grass as they go through turn 3, and Tauras Tunila maybe could make it in. Oh, Talianos into the back of Jan Nims. Jan Nims off the road. Talianos, I think, even more off the road. Jan Nims down to 4th and 5th now. Talianos down to 9th. 5th for Nims. Tunila now takes the lead, and Nims actually battling for 4th position, holds on to it as he takes the inside for the next turn, but he'll be in a big battle with Rachmanyan, who I think will want to come back at him. So gift for Tauras Tunila, as Talianos really tried to do something down there at turn 4, but unfortunately didn't work for him.
So Matas Mendel is going sideways. The drivers start on cold tires with these cars, and they have to do proper work in the 2 first laps to warm up the tires and try to avoid mistakes.
Already on the back of Mendelis, so very quickly catches back up to the leading pack as Abdelhadi holds everybody else up, and this now becomes a 4-way fight for P1 by the end of lap 1. Mendelis and Nims almost side by side. Nims backs out of it. Maybe thought that Mendelis wouldn't give up that space. As we go through 2 and 3. I don't think it's flat out in these cars. It might just be for the GT3s coming later on. Mendelis holding on and holding up Jan Nims, helping Tauras Tunila as well in this situation here.
Well, Matas Mendelis is trying to drive his own race. He knows that it's gonna be an impossible job to hold off the faster car behind him for the remaining 13 minutes, and probably that's gonna be impossible, but he will try to do his best for as long as possible, especially when he sees the gap between Jan Nims and Dominikas Graudinis. It's 2.4 seconds, so Matas Mendelis has the ability to try and hold off Jan Nims.
Big lunge from Jan Nims. He's going to be on the inside, Mendelis on the outside. I thought he was going to have a better run, but Jan Nims actually gets a much better run than Matas Mendelis and goes up into 3rd. Didn't expect that, did Mendelis? We'll see if he tries to come back at Jan Nims, maybe down the straight.
I think that's not what's gonna happen unless Jan Nims makes a mistake, but I'm pretty sure Matas Mendelis will concentrate on being as close as possible to the back end of Jan Nims, because he knows now the target for Jan Nims are the 2 cars in front, and he'll try his best to try and catch up with Simon Speth, his teammate, and Tauras Tunila, who's currently in the lead. So I'm pretty sure Matas Mendelis just wants to be as close as possible in those situations, because he knows that some doors might open for him to try and finish this first race a little bit higher up the order. And in the meanwhile, Dominikas Graudinis, he got himself up to P5, and he's closing slightly on Matas Mendelis, who is having huge problems on the racetrack just to stick on the tarmac. And I think that's what the mistakes that Matas Mendelis is doing gave the chance for Jan Nims, and he made a really nice launch on Matas. Well, first he kind of made Matas Mendelis asleep a little bit while just sitting behind, and maybe he outsmarted Matas Mendelis a little bit by showing him that he will not go for a lunch, and then he simply changed it all completely.
I think it was also a case of Mendelis looking a little bit more. He saw Jan Nims not make any desperate moves in the beginning part of the lap, Maybe he just thought he's not going to do something at the end of the lap, and now Jan Nim's fastest lap of the race so far. Faster than the race leader. I don't think he's going to have much trouble with Simon Speff. I think Toros Tunila would put on a much bigger battle if Jan Nims can catch up.
Yeah, the pace difference is just so tiny between the first three drivers. It's less than 1/10. Well, okay, it's 1/10 between Toros Tunila and Jan Nims. The gap is 1.6 seconds between the first car and the third one, and Jan Nims has Simon Speff in the way, so it's not going to be easy for Jan Nims, but we know how devastated Jan Nims is for winning races, and I'm pretty sure he will avoid mistakes, and he will try to push the leading car as hard as possible. Well, of course, he needs to get himself into P2 to try and catch up with Toros Tunila, and I'm pretty excited to see what the plan between these two guys is. Jan Nims won the qualifying session. He's currently behind his teammate, so will Simon Speff decide to battle with Jan Nims at least slightly, or that's going to be just a quick swap of positions between the drivers as maybe some team strategy?
It's obviously still early in the season to maybe have that call, but yeah, we'll see what they decide to do. And Jan Nims, well, it doesn't look like he's catching up as quickly as he did to Matas Mendeles, who's dropped off the pack massively, and got Dominicas Grodines behind him. A little bit slower last lap, but
yeah, but here
comes Nims once again, very late, and Simon Speff gives him a lot of space. Much more space than what Mendeles did, and that's a position switch for P2.
But it looks like that's the sweet spot for Jan Nims. The same corner, same type, same strategy for an overtake, and basically that all happened after the driver in front made some small mistakes, and we could see that Simon Speff slightly overjumped the corners before, and he had some troubles on the exit, and Jan Nims decided that it's now or never, and he just goes to take some action straight away, and that works perfectly.
Well, now Toros Tunila obviously knows what the move of Jan Nims is, so Toros could be on the lookout for that, and maybe could try and defend that move. This is Talianos, who's was on the front row of the grid, now battling for 5th.
Well, basically battling for pole position for the second race, because the top 5 drivers will start the race in a reversed order. And what's happening in front while we look at this battle, I think Jan Nims, he's pushing, but the lines at least seem so different between Jan Nims and Simon Speff that for one short moment it looked like Simon Speff is trying to get back to P2, but actually both of the drivers are gaining on Toros Tunila. So maybe the pressure on shoulders for the driver of Toros is a little bit too big coming from behind. The fastest driver on the grid is right on his tails, and even though he was only 1.5 tenths faster on the previous lap, it's still more than enough because the gap is only 0.8 of a second. Do you think Toros Tunila saw the spots where Jan Nims took those overtakes? And
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he saw it right in his mirror and knows how relatively easy it is to make a move in that turn. Oh, big slide from Talianos, who's trying to catch up, but with mistakes like that, he's gonna find it difficult. Looks like maybe Toros just made a slight mistake into turn number 4. Lost about 0.2 of a second just through there.
Yep, and both Sean Clark Racing cars are actually gaining on the Dream to Drive car, which might be some bigger problems in a couple of corners for Toros Tunila, who just made a mistake, and there's a contact.
Nims. And, well, Nims tried to do his move, but this time, well, he was definitely too far away, and there was definitely no space. Even if Toros Tunila made that mistake, there was never space on the inside, and I'm not sure that move is going to be looked upon very lightly. So it's quite a damaged car for Toros Danila now, who's under pressure from Simon Speff and Dominikas Grodinis and Talianos right behind. So it is a four-way fight for P3.
It is a four-way fight, but well, we have some news from race control, and actually both of the cars behind, including Talianos and Grodinis, they have some second penalties, so meaning that Talianos has a 5-second penalty for the collision in the first lap, and Grodinis has also a 10 seconds penalty for another accident. So basically both of the cars behind, they have troubles, they have penalties. And even if they will overtake Tonila and Simon Speth, I don't think they will create the big gap that they need to eliminate the penalties.
There is a difference in terms of starting position for race 2, because the penalties only come in for after race 2. Jan Nimtz actually gives up the position to Toros Tonila and to Matas Mendeles as well. So maybe trying to avoid a penalty there.
Yep. Can you expect something better than that if you are Matas Mendeles?
The inside again. I think Toros Tonila will try to hold on now and try to help Matas Mendeles hold on to the lead.
And basically, by backing out of that overtake, Jan Nimtz almost creating a situation where Simon Speth was almost able to overtake his teammate. All the cars have some damage, so I'm pretty sure the drivers are struggling. Oh, here comes Talianos in the background on Dominikas Grodinis into that corner, and this is the battle for the pole position for the second racer. Look in front, Simon Speth and Jan Nimtz. It looks like Simon Speth has some better car in his hands, I mean with a less damaged car, because currently he seems faster than Jan Nimtz, but he's kind of, well, backing off from the overtake. So how late on the brakes was Jan Nimtz, and I think he's definitely struggling with the damaged car. And well, the driving of all these cars looks so clumsy. Dominikas Grodinis almost into the back end of Simon Speth, and I'm not sure what's happening here, if the guys kind of lost it, or are the cars so damaged that the drivers have difficulties of driving them.
Rachmanian now catching up to this battle up in front. Grodinis very wide into the final turn. Almost gave Talianos an opening on the inside, not really. Mendeles is loving this though. He's 2 seconds up in the lead, and well, unless something happens to him, I think he's gonna win this one.
Nice strategic move by Jan Nimtz, actually. We've got news from race control, and because Jan Nimtz gave the position back, no seconds penalty was applied as Talianos launches to the inside.
I think he's gonna make it this time as they come out of 4 and 5. He finally gets it done. Talianos now up in to a provisional pole position for race number 2. Race 1, he still has that penalty on him, but for race 2, he might just have pole position.
Well,
but he still has to hold on, because Dominikas Grodinis to the inside. They're gonna go side by side through that hairpin, and Talianos this time actually holds on around the outside, so gets that better run, keeps the position, and just about holds on while going very wide through the chicane.
Yep, so Jan Nimtz didn't receive any second penalty. Oh, Talianos, huge mistake.
Sideways and gives that position up. He'll have to try again. We've got 2 to go as they cross the line. Nimtz 3/10 behind Tonila, not able to catch up to a point where he could overtake. Yep. But this is definitely a point where they can overtake to the inside, to the outside goes Talianos. Can he hold on there? I don't think so. And Rachmanian just watching this battle, hoping maybe something will come of it.
And this is basically the battle for pole position for the second race, so Rachmanian wants to be as close as possible, especially as he sees that both of the drivers in front are kind of struggling. to stay on the racetrack, so Rachmaninoff needs to stay out of trouble, at least in the style of his driving. And this is the corner where we've seen most of the overtakes happen this afternoon. Italianos was a little bit too far behind on this occasion. And still both of the cars in front struggling. A little mistake by Dominikas Graudinis. He manages to get back on the power early, but Italianos was earlier back on power. And to the inside he goes into the final corner, side by side on the exit, and that's gonna be a drag race to the finish line, but we still have one lap to go. As we start the final lap of this race, Matas Mendel is comfortably in the lead. Jan Nims looks to be closer to the tail of Tauras Tunila. And Italianos, well, he didn't have enough space to stick and get in front of Dominikas Graudinis, though.
He tries something down the inside. He does. There's a bit of a touch, a bit of a door bang, but I think Italianos might just be able to hold on to this one. They touch again a little bit wide from Dominikas Graudinis, but Italianos holds on, but actually gives that position back up and gives almost 2 places back up. Well, I'm not sure if it was that bad of a touch. There might still be something happening for second if Jan Nims tries that lunge again. He hasn't.
Actually joined the party.
Lapo trying to get the move down on Rachmaninoff. I think he's just about able to do that. Maybe not. They're going to go in side by side. Jan Nims can't do anything there. Lapo just about gets it, and I think Matas Mendeles is going to cross the line any second now to take a pretty unexpected first race win. Tauras Tunila second, Jan Nims third. Fourth went to Simon Speff, and Dominikas Graudinis will be on pole for race number 2.
It was a hard battle. It was a nice battle, and mistakes were not avoided, which shuffled the grid randomly. Matas Mendeles, who was struggling during the first laps, took the checkered flag. I'm pretty sure he can be happy about himself and what happened on the racetrack. Well, he was close enough to get used of the situation. Jan Nims decided that he needs to give that position back, so he didn't receive any seconds penalties. He received only 1 SR point taken away from his license, which is which doesn't hurt that much as if he would have received a time penalty, but he still managed to finish only third in this first race. As you can see, hopefully you are able to see the results on your screens, but it's again Matas Mendeles taking the win, Tauras Tunila finishing second, Jan Nims third, Simon Speff fourth, and Dominikas Graudinis by finishing fifth, grabbing that pole position. In the final standings, Dominikas Graudinis and Italianos, they will finish much lower down the order because, well, Graudinis has a 10 seconds penalty. He will finish roughly 11th outside the points, and Italianos, well, he loses slightly less places. And I think we'll have a short break now for the drivers to take a rest and prepare for the second race, which is gonna take place anytime soon. And well, this championship, the BMW M235, has basically a fixed setup style of racing, though the drivers can adjust the tire pressure, the fuel amount in their tanks, the brake bias, and brake power and traction control. So some slight adjustments in the hands of the drivers where, well, maybe you can gain some advantage, especially with the pressure of the tires, and well, you can come up with a different strategy for the race than your rival, maybe putting in slightly less pressure into the tires to have a better balance at the back of the race, or the drivers can risk for a better race start and better pace for the beginning. And whatever suits the drivers and whatever works best for them, they choose to happen. So the final minute until we will see the cars lined out behind the start and finish line to start their second race of this afternoon before we will transfer to the other championship, the Premium Autumn Series on World Sim Series platform. We will join the Endurance Challenge, where GT3 will race on the same track as the BMW's M235i's, so some multi-class racing, and the GT3s will shuffled during the season. Each race will see a different GT3 car join the battles. We had Audi R8 GT3 the 2 weeks ago, and we will have the McLaren 650S GT3s driving on the Vallelunga racetrack in roughly maybe 20 minutes or so. Getting ready for the second race. Dominikas Graudinis on pole position. Simon Speth will start from P2. Jan Nimt third, Toras Nila fourth, and Matas Mendel fifth. I think the order should be in this way. As we have 10 seconds still, we see the lights go out and we'll get the racing action. And away we go. Dominikas Graudinis with a nice start, and Simon Speth tries to be as close as possible, though there was a better start by Jan Nimt, and all of the drivers have kind of a fresh start, and all the cars, well, they are basically fixed after the first race. Dominikas Graudinis running a little bit wide. Jan Nimt's gonna see that coming. It's actually Simon Speth who's currently right behind Dominikas Graudinis. Toros Tonila on the outside.
Oh, I think Jan Nimt just pushed Toras Tonila to the outside, squeezed him out right there. Oh, slide from Talianos. I think he touched with Mendelis there. Somebody goes right off the road. Mendelis and Talianos for fourth. Mendelis just about gets it. Dominikas Graudinis holds on to the lead though, at least for now. Jan Nimt looked like he was just coming over to the left during the braking zone, and Toras Tonila was already there. Toras Tonila though now battling to get back up the field.
Yep, he's battling with Rahmanian, and Talianos is right in front of him, and it looks like there's a successful move by Toras Tonila, and what an unsuccessful second event for our current championship leader, because, well, I think we might see some action taken by the race control due to that contact, though we didn't see how it happened exactly. It looked like Jan Nimt tried to squeeze Toras Tonila a little bit more to the outside, and Tonila simply ran out of road and lost quite a lot of places. So I think there was a contact between the two leaders, well, the current leaders of this race.
For sure there was contact. It looked like maybe Jan Nimt was maybe more trying to avoid running into the back of Simon Speth there as well. So for me, it looks like more of a almost a racing incident, considering it's the first lap, it's the first real braking zone. A lot of things can happen. We'll see what the stewards think of it, but I don't really think it will be as harsh as what happened when Jan Nimt just spun Toras Tonila around. Then he gave back the position. It doesn't look like he thinks he needs to do that. We'll see what the stewards decide, but I don't think it's going to be a very harsh punishment for Jan Nimt. See what Toras Tonila can do. Can he climb back up the field? Jan Nimt, though, getting stuck behind his teammate. And Dominikas Graudinis actually doing a fantastic job to lead this race and pull out half a second gap in front of Simon Speth. Probably a little bit unexpected.
Tonila with the fastest lap so far, and it looks like currently the drivers just try to warm up the tires as gently as possible, thinking about the longevity of them, because they know they will need some working rubber towards the end of the race, as we've already seen in the first one. Accidents might happen, and you want to have the best tires possible towards the very last minutes of this race. Maybe that's what's happening, but Dominykas Graudinis actually, he's doing a phenomenal job on the circuit in the second race. It looks like he just got a little bit familiar with the car in the qualifying session in the first race. Now he's just delivering the pace. Or maybe he's just slightly earlier on power and on full speed than his main rivals. And now after this corner, looks like Jan Nemts has already starting to push much harder. And well, doesn't leave a lot of breathing room for Dominykas Graudinis. Any small mistake might cost him the leading position that he's currently at now. Only another SR point penalty for Jan Nemts, so he can be safe. No time penalty in the second race, so Gustas has seen the situation quite nicely. It was more of a racing incident because it was the first lap, it was the first braking zone, and well, the race control is actually a little bit more easy on the mistakes that the drivers do or on such small contacts, especially in the first couple of corners after the race start.
Also didn't have that big of a consequence for what happened. Toros Tonilanex, he did lose positions, but he didn't drop to the back of the field. This is a mistake now from Dominykas Graudinis, goes wide, and will he leave that inside door open? Is Simon Speff gonna try and dive it? Just closes up the inside a little bit and manages to hold on. I mean, really, around this place, you can hold on for quite a long time.
Yep, if the driver in front doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
I mean, all he has to do is not run too wide. It doesn't look like the slipstream is working a massive effect here. It's working definitely, but there's just a few turns where you really have to hold on, and after that, you're kind of safe to run till the end. As now Graudinis opens up the inside and actually might not be passed if he just keeps it pinned around the outside. And, it's going to be tight, but I think Graudinis is actually, he's in a better position. He's going to take the inside for the left, but is he going to hold on? Just about does, as they both go off the road.
Oh, and almost contact between the two teammates.
Oh, and a touch then between Speff and I think that was Mendelis. Yep, Taliano's now trying to go down the inside of Speff. It just about makes it free wide. Oh, that was tight. I think Toros Toniela might be able to get that position for free here. And actually still side by side if they don't make too much contact, a little bit of contact between the teammates, but Toros Toniela holds on for now.
That was really sketchy. I'm pretty sure race control will have a lot of work to fiddle out the whole situation that happened between the drivers and which started between Dominykas Graudinis and Simon Speff. Simon Speff is currently down in fourth, right behind Talianos, who gained quite a lot of places. Toros Toniela managed to overtake Matas Mendelis, who was basically a victim of an incoming Simon Speff. Though, what a brilliant job did Simon Speff do. He almost drifted out a couple of corners while trying to get back on the tarmac and held on pretty well, but not sure if there was some actions which might be held as illegal, and some penalties might be applied. Jan Nemts creating some pressure for Dominykas Graudinis, and what we see from Dominykas Graudinis, well, he is doing good job while driving, but he keeps on going a little bit too fast and into a couple of corners, which create nice opportunities for the drivers behind to try and get that position. Though Dominykas Graudinis, well, he did all that he could to fix that mistake that he made and close the door nicely into turn 10, where we have seen the most overtakes taking place this afternoon.
Yep, and he drove very smart through there as he really slowed the car down on the apex. Didn't allow Jan Nims to come back at him on the exit. So if he can continue doing something like this, this might not be too bad for him. And if he just holds on through the end of the straight here as Jan Nims tries something to the inside, tries to get Dominykas Grodinis off his line. But Dominykas Grodinis holds on to the lead unexpectedly, I would say. I didn't expect that as we started the race. This is Spef versus Talianos once again. Talianos, remember, second in qualifying. And trying to hold on to that final podium position. That brings Taurus Tunila into this battle as well. Grodinis holds on once again to the lead for one more lap at least.
Well, we've still got almost 6 minutes on the clock, so we'll see at least 4 laps. I think it's 5 laps in total, maybe closer to 4. Anyways, there's still quite a lot of turns for the drivers to complete, and they can try and take the situation into their hands. Look at Talianos. He was attacked by Speth. Now he has some breathing room of 5/10 between himself and Simon Speth. In the background we see Matas Mendelis and Taurus Tunila battling it out. I think the car of Taurus Tunila saw slightly bigger contacts at the beginning. Not sure if that has an effect on the speed of the car, but both of the drivers, they are kind of falling behind Simon Speth and Talianos, though always trying to catch up. And as soon as the car in front starts some racing action, they lose pace, and that's Jan Nims and Dominykas Grodinis once again. Same spot, same strategy, and same outcome actually. Dominykas Grodinis is able to hold on, and look how wisely he's driving around turn 10. He's just not opening the door for the cars behind because, well, he was behind when Jan Nims made his overtakes on that spot, so I'm pretty sure he's very aware of the opportunities that come on that particular corner, and he wants to avoid them as much as possible. And that's Matas Mendelis right on the tail of Taurus Tunila, and I think these two drivers are, well, either it's Taurus Tunila who is making mistakes, or it's Matas Mendelis who is trying to attack Taurus Tunila a little bit too aggressive. Both of the cars losing a little bit too much of ground compared to the cars in front, and now the gap between Simon Speth and Taurus Tunila is already 1 second, so not sure who's to blame for the opening gaps, but it looks like Matas Mendelis is slightly faster than Taurus Tunila. Well, at least he's always there around the back end of the Dream to Drive car. And look at...
Actually, looks very good for Dominykas Grodinis now. He's opened up a gap. He's driving very smart here. He's holding on to his position in the places where you really can make a move. I think Jan Nims just maybe, big slide. I think Nims has maybe tried to back out of it and come back at Grodinis. That's also an option, having a little bit more momentum as you catch up to somebody. You can get lulled into a pace when running behind someone. This is a chance now for Nims to maybe catch back up, but it doesn't look like he's doing that too much. 2 minutes and 49 to go. That's 3 more laps on the clock.
Do they have different setups maybe? Maybe Dominykas Grodinis is on a more conservative strategy with the tire pressures. Maybe he kept it for the end of this race, because it looks like he's able to open up the gap as soon as he lost or opened up the gap slightly. He's able to avoid those mistakes that he made at the beginning of this race, and he's just looks to be faster than Jan Nims. And Jan Nims, well, he slowed down quite a lot. 1 minute 19 seconds and 7/10. That's actually 6/10 of the pace that Jan Nims was demonstrating at the beginning of this race. So it's
catching back up again. I think he just maybe made a couple of mistakes He's caught right back up to that same 4/10 margin that we've seen him at for a very long time for the lead of the race.
And that's gonna be 2 laps till we see the finish line, so finish flag, so there's plenty of time for Jan Nimtz. Though, knowing that Jan Nimtz spent the most time of the second race behind Dominikas Graudinis, that's not gonna be an easy task, but I'm pretty sure Jan Nimtz will try his best to get the win of this race. He lost out in the first one. He desperately wants to win at least the second race. And, well, he's right there to do that. Yep, 1 minute 19.1. I think you're right. Maybe Jan Nimtz made those couple of mistakes. Maybe he tried to cool down his tires, but the previous lap that he did, it's 1 minute 19.1.
Oh, but actually, we said this, but it looks like Dominikas Graudinis did get a 5-second penalty for the contact with Simon Speff. I think it looks like...
Yep, it was fiddled out by race control. And, maybe, well, Jan Nimtz doesn't know that anyways, and he tries to win the race on the racetrack, but he's whatever happens, I think he will win this one. No matter what position, he will cross that line due to the penalty, the 5 seconds penalty that Dominikas Graudinis received. Simon Speff also has a no time penalty. That's also a 1 SR on his license. So Simon Speff had a collision with Talianos. It happened afterwards, but it looks like it wasn't that bad as it was between Dominikas and Simon Speff. But still, Dominikas Graudinis, well, he's holding off pretty nicely on the racetrack, and he will take the checker flag. And just imagine how heartbroken he will be when he will get the message that he received a penalty. Here comes Jan Nimtz. Well, it's still not over, and Jan Nimtz wants to do that on the racetrack. Similar situation. Dominikas Graudinis knows this track pretty well, and it's maybe the third time that we see Dominikas Graudinis taking identical line. And look at the defensive strategy. He's driving really wisely, just covering off all the attempts from the car coming from behind, and well, it works magically. Look at the defensive line. Dominikas Graudinis, well, he just doesn't leave room, and he doesn't care about the gaps behind anymore. He just wants to take the checker flag, and nicely done by Dominikas Graudinis. We didn't expect for him to have such pace, but he managed to take the checker flag on the racetrack and win this race. Of course, after the 5-second penalty will get applied, he will lose that win, and I'm pretty sure that's gonna be hurtful for the Lithuanian driver.
But still, a very, very good job, and congratulations to Dominikas Graudinis, who, well, he did a very, very good job to hold on to that lead and had a fantastic race. Even if he had that penalty after the contact with Simon Speff, still fantastic drive from him, and I think he can learn a lot from what he did here today.
Yep, you couldn't expect more actually from the driver, and well, he finished 5th in the first race. We actually honestly didn't expect him able to hold on the attacks of both of the Sean Clark Racing guys, and congratulations so far. We will take a short break. Well, it shouldn't last too long, and we will be back with the second championship race of the Endurance Challenge, which will take place in a couple of minutes, so maybe 5 minutes or so break time, and we will get you some more racing action from the Vallelunga circuit. 45 minutes race with 1 mandatory pit stop. So welcome back to some more racing action from the Vallelunga racetrack located in Italy. World Sim Series platform. 2 challenges, 2 championship series happening on the same evening. This is the second round of the premium challenges, and on your screens is the second round of the premium endurance challenge, where we see the GT3 cars on the same track, sharing the same track as the BMW M235i cars. And we see some new names joining this championship, and Grantas Kareckas currently takes the lead in the BMW class. This is some refresher for our eyes, as Grantas Kareckas managed to overtake Jan Nims in the qualifying session for the endurance race. Just a quick refresher regarding the rules. The drivers will have 45 minutes of racing to do, and they will have 1 mandatory pit stop. The rules for the mandatory pit stop are as follows. It's enough for the drivers to get into the pit lane, add 1 liter of fuel, and continue the racing action. And that's gonna be followed up by the rules. Though we have seen a couple of different strategies the previous week from the drivers. Some drivers can start on softer tires and they can start on half tank of fuel, which might give a little advantage during the race, but they will need to come into the pit lane and stay stationary for a little bit longer than the drivers who will decide to race on 1 set of tires and add only 1 liter of fuel. That's a little bit risky because we have some interesting rules in this championship. The tire wear is 2 times faster than it is. It's 200%, and the fuel usage is 150%. So you add a little bit more of fuel, but you can burn it a little bit faster. When I was speaking, we have the qualifying session almost to the end, and Cortijo managed to snatch up pole position. Oh, he actually didn't manage to snatch it. He was on provisional pole position for a little bit of time as Dominykas Graudinis crossed the line and got back into the first place. So Cortijo taking the second position for the race start. Matas Mendelis third, O'Brien fourth, and Przybyłka fifth in the GT3 class, while Grantas Kareckas takes the pole position. Jan Nims tried to get back out on the circuit, but he didn't manage to cross the line on time, I believe, to put in a fast lap, and that's his out lap at this moment. He's desperate, staying on the racetrack. I'm just holding my breath and waiting for the result. Maybe he had time to start the fast lap. No, he didn't. So it was just an out lap for Jan Nims. Tried to stay out on the racetrack. Maybe he switched to the race setup and tried a little things out for himself and got prepared himself for the race, which will be much more important than the qualifying session. Of course, he lost to a very fast driver, and looking at the results, that's the wrong results that we see on our screens, and just trying to get some new results. There we go. Some refresher, and we can look at the results of the qualifying session on our screens, and it's Dominykas Graudinis from Cortijo in the GT3 class, Matas Mendelis alongside him, Lee O'Brien in the second row. Third row belongs to Przybyłka and Esa, and the fourth row belongs to Kimos and Diana. That's 8 cars of the GT3s, McLarens, and the M235i's have Grantas Kareckas starting alongside Jan Nims, Simon Speth alongside Rahmanian, Tunil alongside Abdelhari, Yuri Lap alongside Tercali, Niskanen alongside Blumke, and Viviani alongside Vu. And we have another GT3 car which didn't have the time to start or at least finish a valid lap time in the qualifying session. They will start at the back of the pack. That's going to be a little bit dangerous for the BMWs because they will have a GT3 car right in the back of the pack. He actually starts behind the safety cars, which will get out of the way as soon as we see the flags drop.
Yep, but he'll still lose the time. He'll lose those positions to the safety cars. And we are underway for round 2 here from Vallelunga. Dominykas Graudinis, as he led race 2 in the sprint races, he leads them off the line in the endurance race. Grantas Karetskas continues to hold the lead in M235i ahead of Jan Nims. This is Brushino coming up the field. He gets past all of the BMWs just in time for the first braking zone. He was lucky to have a long run to the line. Doros Tunila holds on to third in his class.
Well, actually, he jumps up into third. He started fifth, so he's already up 2 places and continues his race in third, trying to chase down Jan Nims and Grantas Karetskas. Grantas Karetskas just made a mistake, and look at the colors and the team name that Grantas Karetskas is currently racing in, because he is the new Dream to Drive championship. He's not only racing for the Dream to Drive team in the virtual races, he actually became the real driver of the team by winning the championship that took place in Lithuania this year, and he continues to show his performance not only on virtual racetracks but also on the real ones. So nice action by the young Lithuanian. He's not only fast on computers, racing simulators, but he just made a very strong point that if you're fast on the virtual racetracks, you will be fast on the real ones also. And well, he continues his domination, and that's actually a surprise for me because, well, I know that Grantas Karetskas is really fast, but I'm a little bit surprised that he's faster than Jan Nims at this moment.
It's also, again, a case of strategy, a case of how much you want to risk it, especially at the race start. Sometimes drivers choosing the more safe option as the lights go out, just to be sure they can actually get that car to the end. You can very easily lose these races in the beginning, and this race, well, obviously it's a little bit longer than what we had previously, so more care has.
Yep, and well, we have some strategy opportunities also presented in this race. And look at the pace of Dominikas Graudinis compared to the other pack, and I'm pretty sure he's on a different strategy. We have 2 strategy options. One is to start with full fuel tank and harder tires. Matas Mendelis outbrakes himself into turn 2, or was it turn 3? Actually, it was turn 4 regarding the map. Anyways, he outbraked himself and lost a couple of places, while Dominikas Graudinis continues to dominate this race with, I think, the second strategy option, where you start the race with a lighter car and you can abuse the tires a little bit more, because I think he will go into the pit lane for a longer stop. Similar strategy to what Matas Mendelis had 2 weeks ago. He was, I think, one of the few drivers who decided to start on a half fuel tank, stop in the middle of the race, put on new soft tires and continue his domination. That worked out pretty nicely 2 weeks ago. Not sure if that's going to work out this time, because Dominikas Graudinis, well, he's on medium tires. We have Esa, who is on softs, and I'm pretty sure he's kind of replicating the strategy of Matas Mendelis, but he's currently 5th. And Matas Mendelis dropping down to P4, so not a nice start for our current championship leader in the GT3 class. But he's there, he's holding on, and as Gustas mentioned, it's a slightly longer race, and you have to think about the longevity, not only of your tires, but of your car in whole.
I don't think you have to really worry about reliability here. It's a 45-minute race. You do have to think about the tires if they're gonna fall apart on you at some point in the race. But looks like everybody's pushing pretty hard, almost like a sprint race so far. So Grantas Karetskas still in the lead. Matas Mendelis trying to find something to pass Lee O'Brien up in front.
Will regain the position that he had after the race start, and he wants that place. Matas Mendelis started 3rd in front of Lee O'Brien. He was, well, slightly faster. Well, he was actually half a second faster than Lee O'Brien in the qualifying session, so he has the pace, and he will want to overtake Lee O'Brien as fast and as soon as possible. That's not gonna be easy, but he'll try his best.
Leo O'Brien defends to the inside at the braking zone. Mendeles tries to the outside, doesn't happen this time. But he'll have an opportunity at that very slow hairpin where we saw the 235i cars really getting into it and finding those incredible overtaking opportunities. So we'll see if Mendeles can find anything there. Doesn't look like he's close enough as they both run wide, actually. I was going to say Leo O'Brien running wide, both running wide. And can't do anything just now. However, looking at the times, I think we're about...
to start lapping.
5 minutes away, I would say.
From the race start, you mean?
No, from now, 4 to 5 minutes, I would think. Actually, we might start lapping at the end of next lap, at least the rear of the GT4 field, as somebody comes out of the pits, rear of the M235i field. Somebody comes out of the pit, so that will be the first car they actually lap on circuit, but I think they should be with the leaders in about 5 to 4 minutes.
I think that should happen faster. Roll to my calculations. We are on lap 5. I was looking at the wrong table. So a couple of laps. That should be roughly a couple of laps because, well, the difference in one lap time is roughly 10 seconds, so it takes 7 laps. 7.5 laps for the field to start interfering with each other.
But now it's going to be difficult because everybody's going to be catching up to a big pack of cars, and the GT3s will be coming up as a big pack of cars, not spread out single cars like you might see a few hours into a race when you're overtaking 1 or 2 cars. And now it's going to be the whole of the M235i field that needs to be overtaken by the whole of the GT3 field.
All the cars are basically bunched up. Well,
actually, the GT3s have spread out a little bit. It is a relatively bunched up top 4, but then looking down, there's another bunch for 8, from 5th to 8th, and then
there goes Matas Mendeles into the inside.
Mendeles, not too much work for that position, and I think he's going to hold on to it. He just looked so much quicker running behind O'Brien. Finally gets that move done, but 5 seconds off the lead, and I think that's the important number here for Matas Mendeles to be looking at.
Yep, Dominicos Graudinis doesn't seem to be that much faster anymore as he was in the first couple of laps. Well, the pace is basically has equaled out between the top 4 drivers in the GT3 class, so maybe he's not on a very different strategy. Maybe he was just that much faster in the first couple of laps, and well, the pace is basically equaled out now, and that's going to be interesting to understand the strategy of drivers. Looking at the tires, looks like the strategy is pretty similar basically by all the GT3 drivers except a couple of ones, and both cars running on softs are currently at the very back of the pack in the GT3 field. Well, the M235i class has a little bit tighter field than the GT3 field, and the GT3 drivers, well, they will have to be aware of it. And as usual in the endurance style type racing, traffic can be a huge factor for some of the drivers, so they have to be aware, and sometimes they just need a little bit of luck to catch up on the incoming traffic in some more comfortable spots, just to avoid those unnecessary slowdowns or even contact. Looking at the front of the M235i class, well, Krantas Kareckas is not pulling away from Jan Nimts too fast. He managed to open up a 1 second lead. Now, after 6 completed laps, well, actually 7 completed laps. So that's not a huge difference. Oh, Mendeles again, he's behind Leo O'Brien. What's happening with Matas Mendeles? I think he just made another mistake, and well, he needs to look after the tires if he wants to go with no tire change for the whole race. It's not the way to go, and outbraking yourself, that hurts your performance pretty badly. Not only you lose time by outbraking yourself, you damage your tires. that's not going to help out Matas Mendelis to have a nice result. Well, it doesn't look like so at this moment. 1 minute 13.5, so he lost roughly 2 seconds on the previous lap, and here we go.
Here's the traffic, and this is going to be interesting now. What can Mendelis use it to his advantage to get past, or maybe Leo Bryan can use it to his advantage to run away? It is only that 4 pack of cars, so it won't be as difficult for the BMWs as it is for the GT3s as they start coming through the traffic. One of the BMWs runs a little bit wide, gives a gift to Mendelis. Leo Bryan's going to go to the inside into the final turn. Mendelis will try to follow him through right behind. Gets it done just about.
That's
and this looks like advantage Mendelis, but he cannot box Leo Bryan in. It wasn't enough of a run down the straight. They have to brake a little bit for the BMW up in front. Now is a chance. Didn't get the best of run out of 2 and 3 to the outside goes Mendelis. I don't think that's going to happen around there. Nope. And stays behind. We'll have to try something. And well, nothing really worked.
Still,
Dennis actually got through that.
They have a couple of BMWs in front, including the current leaders. That's, I think, Abdelhadi they are overtaking at this moment. The next one will be Simon Speth, Rahmanian, Tunila, Nimts, and Karetskas. Nimts actually lost out a little bit to the lead of Grantas Karetskas in this GT3 versus BMW meet on the racetrack. And the gap rode actually to the advantage of Grantas Karetskas, but they have to live through more GT3 cars incoming. There's not too many of those on the racetrack, though still 9 GT3s. And you just have to hope to meet the rivals on a very good spot.
The better part of the traffic, the more experienced part of the GT3s coming through at the moment. O'Brien beautifully gets in front of Tunila. Actually, that doesn't hold up Mendelis too much as Tunila runs wide. He might actually be under threat from Rahmanian behind. Maybe not so, but lucky for Leo Bryan. Well, a smart move. Took the risk and actually made that gap a little bit bigger. Grodinis, winner in traffic, definitely, as he ran away. But yeah, I think this part of the traffic was maybe just a little bit easier for the M235i's. This was the more experienced, the faster drivers. They normally are more aggressive in traffic. They show their intentions more clearly. Now they'll be in with the less experienced GT3s, and this might be chaos. Tunila versus Rahmanian. Tunila lost that time being overtaken, but he did look quicker previously, so we'll see if he can hold on to the final podium position. Grantas Karetskas gained 2 seconds on Jan Nims. Well, 2 seconds total throughout the race, about a second through the traffic. That's going to be important. If he can keep doing that, that's going to be good for his chances in this race. Just saw GT3 overtake around the outside through turn 2. Looked quite tight, but I think they just about got it done. Mendelis maybe on a charge once again.
He's definitely close, but not close enough.
No, not close enough, definitely, but maybe just backing off a little bit. Thinking of his tires, thinking of the strategy, and just back out of it, really, because all he's doing here is losing time to the lead.
I wonder what his strategy is, and is he on that short stopper, or does he have some fuel strategy set for this race? But if he's on the short stopper, wouldn't it be clever for him to stop now, get back on the track by himself, and just try to perform?
In both cases, I think it makes sense to take a stop now, because he's clearly stuck. He can't get forward, so probably a better choice to try the undercut here. If you can make a medium last the next half hour, if you planned on making a tire stop and can make the medium last another half hour, pit. If you're on a short stop, pit. Just try to get out of this issue here. Stays on track still. And Nim's already 3 seconds down from the lead, so losing time quickly in that traffic. Grantas Karetskas showing his experience. Traffic. Oh, I saw a GT3 overtaking Spef and Rachmanyan, and held up Rachmanyan more as Spef up into P4. Beautiful move around the outside, held it, and up into 4th in class.
Yep, nice opportunity for Simon Speth, who managed to get used of this situation. And this is not the final time that the cars meet each other on the racetrack. I mean, the two different classes.
I think ahead we have a slow.
Yeah, we do.
M235i car. Yep.
It's left car, even in the same class.
Yeah, but this might actually cause much more issues than any of the GT3 cars coming through, because this is not something you really expect to see 15 minutes into the race to the inside. Spef and Holmwood stays to the outside. All he can do really here. Rachmanyan, can he try a move down the inside? Maybe. Nope. And Rachmanyan's not going to be happy about that one, definitely, as he gets held up and loses a chance at position here.
Poor Rachmanyan. Oh, and he decides to. Yep. I think this is a smart choice. And well, he took the gamble. He sees that he's stuck. He has the pace. He was on the tail of Tauras Tonila, battling for P3. I think he got caught out in the traffic and decided he doesn't want to play that game anymore. So he will stop and search for a better place on the racetrack as he goes out. That's not a very short stop. It's not that 1 liter added of fuel, so some more changes happening on the race car of Rachmanyan. So maybe this was a strategy call.
Damage that he wants to fix as well.
Possible, quite possible, but this is taking quite a long time. So maybe he decided for a strategy change and try something new. Well, he lost it on the racetrack. He wants to kind of win it in a different way. But going back to Matas Mendelis, he stays out. Maybe he's on his own strategy. That's why he's not taking those decisions. That was close. Was there a contact between the GT3 car and
No, I think it was fine. it was a very weird camera angle. I saw the BMW coming out of the pits and kind of predicted that they would meet there, so I wasn't maybe as surprised as you were seeing a BMW on the inside, but I think that was pretty calculated there for Matas Mendelis. It didn't look didn't look very scary at all.
It was so close. I think the cars just slightly brushed each other's sides, but maybe it was just the camera angle. But it looks really effectively. And speaking about the effect, I'm still waiting for some decisions being taken by Matas Mendelis, because it's basically 19 minutes into the race. So even if you're on some sort of a strategy, not only the 1 liter strategy, you can
option pit now.
Yeah. And he's just hurting his race, not only his race, but also his tires, by being so close to another GT3 car on a racetrack as Vallelunga that has some sweeping fast corners. You definitely do some more damage to your front tires. And we have the... Oh my word, what's happening here? We have the 200% rule of the tire wear, so you need to be extra careful about your tires, not to damage them, and all Matas Mendelis is currently creating is bruising his tires. So maybe he's thinking about some strategy change, so he will try to stay out for as long as possible. and then come in for a fresh set of softs, maybe. I'm not sure, but maybe that there's also a possibility if he's confident in it. So he needs to wait out for a little bit longer for those softs to hold on till the end. Maybe that's what's going through the mind of Matas Mendelis. I don't know, but there are some strategy options whatsoever. Back to the BMW field, Koretskas. Oh, Viviani receiving a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Viviani is a driver. I don't see Viviani at all. So maybe he decided to call it the day when receiving the penalty. That's a M235i driver. Oh, wow, there he is, 19th overall, and he just entered the pit lane a little bit too eagerly and too fast, receiving that penalty. Similar on pace, and then Grantas Koretskas, just with Grantas Koretskas doing slightly better job, maybe with the traffic and with the handling of the race overall, because he just managed to extend his lead to 2.5 seconds, though he was slightly slower on the previous lap. Still in a comfortable lead and dictation of the pace of the BMW 235i field.
Yep, still Koretskas holding on. I think he maybe can. Well, he can lead the point where he wants to stop, so he'll probably try and calculate where he can rejoin with the least amount of traffic. I think Mendelis is trying to make a move on O'Brien because the gap was at 0.0, and Mendelis has done it. Mendelis has taken the place. I think that was down to T4 because they were side by side. And position switch confirmed.
And coming on more traffic. Maybe it was a help with a little bit of help with the traffic. We have one BMW in the background behind these drivers, and look, Matas Mendelis is finding himself stuck a little bit behind the BMW, not too dramatically. O'Brien will need to overtake the car also, but with a little bit of less struggle. Matas Mendelis, where does his race lead so far? He's back in P3, 6.5 seconds behind Cortijo and 11.4 seconds behind Grodinis. And look at the lap times of Grodinis and Cortijo. The last lap times are identical. Matas Mendelis with a slightly slower lap time because he made that overtake, but it looks like the biggest loser is O'Brien. His lap time was the slowest, so maybe the overtake didn't happen without a mistake or without help of Lee O'Brien, because Matas Mendelis, every time I took a look, he was roughly 7 tenths behind O'Brien, and suddenly he came in front with some action that we've missed. Doesn't change the fact that Matas Mendelis is back in front of O'Brien again. And oncoming traffic, not only the BMWs, we have a slower GT3 car being chased down. That's Diana. He's 13th overall, and he's actually finding himself battling the BMWs for position on the racetrack. Diana has already been into the pit lane for at least one time. So also on a different strategy, Matas Mendelis finding himself a little bit stuck, as both of the GT3s will have to work through that traffic, except that one GT3 car is one lap down. I wonder what's going through the head of Matas Mendelis right now. That's gonna be a little bit risky. Diana leaving space for Matas Mendelis, doesn't want to get involved in that game. And well, beautiful driving by Diana. Awareness 100%. Look at the pace difference between the GT3s and the BMWs, and also the braking zone. Diana almost running into that BMW as he tried to let O'Brien through. Plenty of action on the racetrack. And the drivers.
Yep, we'll see what they think of now, as in terms of their strategy. feel like Mendeles still needs to think of if he can get down into the pits early and try and undercut if he wants to find some time on those leaders. This is Beth the Tunila for a podium position.
Yep, so we have currently 2 Dream to Drive cars in the top 3 places, and we have 2 Shonklaut Racing cars, well, one right behind the leader and the second one right behind the 3rd place. So it's a nice little team battle for better positions, and well, there is no team championship in the series. Still nice to see drivers gathering up to race for the same teams and maybe doing a virtual team championship between themselves.
Speff looking quick. He looked quick when he got past. That was Rahmanian at the time that he overtook.
Rahmanian has already taken that pit stop, and he's currently down in 16th.
Yeah, but I mean, when Speff overtook him,
he
looked quite confident, so I think we'll see maybe something happening here. He looked good in the sprint race as well. So might have a chance here at that podium spot. Actually, gap has come down very much between Karatskas and Nims. It's only down to about a second between those two.
Yep, 1.2 seconds, and maybe there was some GT3 cars involved. Not sure why that gap has come down. Karatskas was comfortably in the lead.
Yeah, but he lost 2 seconds last lap.
Yep.
So big change. Definitely something happened. Has Karatskas' pace recovered? Yep, it has. This lap is back to normal. He's got Nims behind him, 1.5 behind. So all that nice time he gained in the first few batches of traffic, he's lost that again, but opening up the gap now.
Matas Mendeles is not pulling away from Lee O'Brien, so it looks like he has plenty of damage to his car by sitting too long behind Lee O'Brien during this whole race. And actually those 2 mistakes that Matas Mendeles managed to make at the opening laps of this race don't help with the overall performance of the drivers in this race so far. I thought Lee O'Brien maybe was thinking about having a go into the pit lane, but looking at the drivers staying out on the... Oh, Cortijo is in the pit lane, so the drivers from the GT3 class, the driver from the leaders, Cortijo, coming into the pit lane out of P2. That's gonna be interesting watch, and it's gonna be really interesting to see the outcome of the earlier stop. Of course, it also depends from the strategy if it's only a short splash and go stop as the rules allow, and I think it was a short splash and go. No?
Tires changed onto the softs.
Oh yeah, right. Good eye, good spot.
So he's gone for the undercut. Grodinis has to respond here, really, if he wants to hold on to that lead. He had that 6-second gap.
Yeah.
He did a lap or 2, but I don't think any much more, because if he loses the position, even if he's got the tire advantage to the end, it might be difficult to overtake. We saw that. It's not easy to pass around here, even if you've got a speed advantage.
Or he can just trust himself and go into the pit lane with no tire change. He will spare himself some seconds, at least 20 or 25. And time is running out, so I'm not sure if he will get the information about the tire lap times that Cortijo will be putting in after he comes back on the racetrack.
The recent laps, I'm sure he'll have a look at it to know.
If he's on the right spot on the racetrack to see Cortijo on his screen, not sure what telemetry he's using while racing Assetto Corsa.
Well, he might have an app that tells him the latest lap time. Normally, that's something you do have up in races where you do have a pit stop, just to make sure you're not out of sync somewhere.
Yeah, but that's gonna be important for Grodinis for. it's going to be important for the race of Grodinas and for the decisions that he will need to take while he's staying out on the racetrack. 11 seconds between Grodinas and Mendelis, so the pace is really identical, but Matas Mendelis, he just took too long, was stuck behind Leo O'Brien, and of course, well, those two big mistakes that Matas Mendelis made on the opening laps basically eliminated him from the battle for P1, and well, he lost just that tiny bit too much at the opening laps, and that's where his race is currently at. Cortijo on those soft tires, being stuck in some traffic.
Well,
that's
not traffic. That's for not for position per se, but for position on the timing screen, as Shubilka hasn't come down to pit road just yet. Bruscino did get a speeding penalty. That was for him.
Yep, Bruscino. And Taurus Mila lost out to Simon Speth.
Yep, he's lost that position. We'll see if he maybe thinks of something into the pit lane at some point. They have to pit as well, right? Both the classes have to pit.
Yep, so there is your undercut. 1 minute 12.5 versus 1 minute 11.9. Cortijo was actually slower on the second fast lap.
We'll see what he can do once the traffic clears up a little bit.
Yeah, but looking at the time, Dominikas Grodinas is looking strong. He's really looking strong with taking the win of this race if he plays it right in the pit lane.
Well, he has to not speed first.
Yep, definitely.
As we saw, Bruscino managed to speed into the pit lane, and well, if you do speed into the pit lane, that's a drive-through penalty. And with a drive-through penalty, he's definitely not winning this race.
Yep, he had that gap, so he should be safe. Oh, there's a car standing facing the wrong direction. That's Kirnos, and he had some contacts with the barriers. Bruscino penalty taken. Grodinas was also pretty slow on the previous lap, 1 minute 12.8. Cortijo won.
Traffic.
Yep, traffic. So
11.3. So good run from him. We'll see what he can, if he can keep this pace up. If his tires will last that kind of a push. Grodinas still stays out.
I think that's going to be a very short stop towards the very end of this race. That's the strategy by Dominikas Grodinas, and I'm pretty sure he will get stuck to it. And I don't see that not working out. Cortijo should be at least 3 seconds per lap faster to try and overtake Grodinas, who will, I'm pretty sure he will stay on the same tire. Looking at it now, it looks like a better strategy for me.
Well, I think he, at this point, he probably has to stay on that same tire. I don't think he's got much of a choice here. Unless he goes into the pits now, he could, just to cover off.
Yep, Cortijo.
10.6 goes faster once again. Fastest lap of the race in the books. So unless Grodinas decides to pit now for new tires, I think this is going to be a run till the end with just a short splash.
Yep, he stays out.
Stop.
Yep, he stays out. That's definitely going to be a short stop with a splash. Unless the drivers have something in mind, something different in mind, which we are also used seeing on some different race occasions. And sometimes we always, sometimes we get caught out with some interesting strategy decisions by different teams and different drivers in different races. So everything is on the table, everything is open, and there's plenty of opportunities. We are only guessing what the drivers might be up to. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but looks like Grodinas, Mendelis and O'Brien, 3 drivers are on a very similar strategy at this moment. Thinking about the strategy, so Cortijo is 30.5 seconds behind Mendelis and O'Brien. If the drivers in front decide to have that short splash and go, does Cortijo risk to lose P2 overall? looks safe now, but
Well,
still.
I mean, they have to pit, right?
Yep.
They have to pit, so I think he'll be fine. Because they still have to go in. I mean, they have to go into the pits. It's at least, I think, a 25-second loss.
Yep, and Cortijo is 31 seconds behind O'Brien and 33 seconds at this
running
moment.
about 1.5 seconds quicker a lap, so I don't think he'll have too many issues if he does need to overtake. Oh, tight. I think that's Mendelis.
It is Mendelis.
Tight round the outside, and actually probably ended up slower, really, than if he decided to wait. As now O'Brien gets past.
Yep, Mendelis definitely lost time. Definitely lost time. He was 9.5, 10 seconds behind Grodinis. He's now 10.5. Okay, the timesheets are kind of all over. But yeah, maybe he didn't lose too much time. Maybe that's the time calculation formulas that are different on the different parts of the circuit.
No, I mean, he definitely lost some time because the gap, Doros Tunila stayed behind him for that whole straight, so he had a very bad exit, that's for sure. But I think maybe Grutin is getting stuck in some more traffic as well.
12.8, it was not the fastest lap time by Grudinis also. Oh, 13.2. Definitely a lot of time lost, and Cortijo, that's playing out nicely for him. O'Brien with a little bit of damage on the right side of his car. So maybe from those small contacts. Though regarding race control, it's been a quite safe and clean race so far. We have a couple of penalties actually. One of those being for Brushinov, a 5-second penalty for causing an accident. Wu has a 5-second penalty. Holmwood has 5-second penalty. Oh, Matas Mendelis has also have a... No, that's actually not Mendelis. That's Wu who has a 5-second penalty with collision with Matas Mendelis, almost creating an unnecessary drama. So Mendelis had some accident before, maybe that's why he lost a couple of seconds at the opening laps.
We'll see if O'Brien decides. Well, in O'Brien's case, he probably should really take that splash now and hope that traffic plays into his hands. It's a gap of 1.5 seconds. You know, if you can get into the pits earlier and get lucky in traffic, maybe you can come out in front, actually.
Yep, well, you have to do something. Well, you have to try and do something different than your nearest rival is doing. So 1.5 seconds, if both of the cars will come into the pit lane at the very same time, you basically eliminate any chances, any possibilities for you in this race to create some unseen situations. Maybe Leo O'Brien, by stopping earlier, will win something out of it, come in a cleaner spot on the racetrack, win that 1.5 seconds with a virtual fight, and
well, he has to try something. He's not going to lose a position behind anyway.
Yeah.
So
well, both of them should lose a position. Oh, Grodin is stop and go. 10 seconds penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Speeding, he's gonna lose the lead because that
definitely that's
a stop and go after, I believe. So
yep, it is after
the pits now, and he'll have to come in again.
Yep. Yep, that's how the rules are. Well, if you speed in the pit lane, and he must have speeded a lot because that's a huge penalty. I'm not sure if Grodinis was the driver who received a similar penalty 2 weeks ago, but I think Grodinis has all. Well, I might be mistaken, but that we had drivers 2 weeks ago who received similar penalties during the Nürburgring event. But there go your chances. So Grodinis, and look Grodinis. Well, of course he speeded in the pit lane. He had 11 seconds gap against Matas Mendelis. He went into the pit lane, went back out of it, and he's only 6 seconds behind Matas Mendelis. That means that a very short stop and go pit stop, the splash and go pit stop takes only, what, 17 seconds? So looking at Cortijo, he needs to do the job perfectly now, and he just gained only 3/10 on Matas Mendeles on the previous lap time, and he's full 28 seconds behind. So suddenly that looks to be playing out into the hands of Matas Mendeles, the current championship leader in this race. With a different strategy, O'Brien should try to think of something different. He's close on Matas Mendeles.
I really can't believe that it's a 16-second delta in the pits.
I'm not sure, but well, you've seen the digits. You've seen where Grodinas came back on the track.
Unless he
Maybe
flew into the pit lane.
Maybe that's why he received not a drive-through, but a 10-second stop-and-go penalty. Well, definitely he had to speed a lot in the pit lane. He took the 10-second penalty, and he's 5 seconds behind Cortijo. That's not too bad also.
He was about 20-something ahead.
Hello, Vallelunga, and
It's a Mendeles down to pit road. O'Brien stays out, so does the opposite.
At least try something different.
Exactly, try something. What's the pit lane speed limit, I wonder?
Should be 80? It should be 80 km/h. Maybe 60. It's a relatively short
if
pit.
it's 80, then it could be a very short delta, because it looks like the cars are going pretty fast down the pit lane. That's why maybe it is such a short delta.
Yep, Cortijo around the final quarter.
Such a fast pit lane before. I was expecting this to be like a 50 km/h pit lane at best. So Cortijo about 9.5 behind, 9 behind.
And 3 minutes
have
to
to
go.
get lucky here. Yeah, he needs some crazy luck here to get in front.
So we might see some changes in the BMW class also, because Spymanspeth and Toros Tunila, they have already served the pit
Leo
stops.
O'Brien into the pits, so he doesn't wait an extra lap unless he thought that he had traffic in front.
That's it. Just stop, put in 1 liter of fuel, and
80.
go.
Yeah, wow, 80. Well, a pretty small pit lane to be going at 80. That's why the delta is so small.
Look, he's coming in front of Matas Mendeles.
Oh, wow.
So overcut,
Hugely in
it's what
front.
works on this racetrack, because I think coming out of the pit lane on colder
they're going to be
tires.
very tight. They're going to be very tight into the braking zone, I think.
Well, that was
Mendeles
smart.
has the advantage here. He does, but not enough. I think Mendeles lost time on the outlap because I mean, it flipped about 1.5 seconds the other way.
So I think Leo O'Brien was better prepared for this race than ourselves, and that's why he waited out so long. And I think he was expecting Matas Mendeles to come at least 1 lap earlier, but maybe he knew the fact that you are a little bit slower on the outlap, but then the car that stays on the track with the same tires, well, you cool off your tires slightly, even though it's a very short pit stop, but still you lose time. On the outlap, it worked out preciously, and Matas Mendeles, it's not the first time he finds himself behind Leo O'Brien this afternoon. He managed to overtake O'Brien a couple of times, but with 1 minute and 27 seconds on the clock, I think we are 2 laps down the finish.
17.3 was the outlap for Mendeles. Let's see what the outlap for O'Brien was. 17.4.
It's basically the last or the penultimate lap. We crossed the line right on the limit of the speed of 1 lap, and if these guys begin to battle, they might slow down
to the inside. O'Brien opened it up. He left the door completely open. He's going to try and come back at it, but it's not enough. Wow, Leo O'Brien caught sleeping.
I didn't expect that actually from Leo O'Brien. This is the last lap's battle. Oh,
Something. Well, something. Yeah, that was something. But
Did-
O'Brien backs out of it.
Is
Okay.
it a strategy game for Matas Mendeles? Slow down a little bit too much. They need a couple of seconds slower lap time this time to cross the line and see the checkered flag. Does he try to spare that 1 second? Maybe he did slow down
no,
a little bit too much.
I think Leo O'Brien outbraked himself massively instead of Matas Mendeles trying some strategy here.
And there's going to be one extra lap, and Garetskas and Nims, they have already taken their pit stops. There's one's BMW around the outside, and oh, look how tight it is! 1 second.
Yeah, I
Matas-
think anyway you have to get
Leo
the
O'Brien.
signal of-
Leo O'Brien into the pit lane. Did we miss something? Did he receive a drive-through from the system? Because I don't see a drive-through from the race control, but it was a drive-through.
I don't see anything.
No information from the real-time penalty also, but Leo O'Brien with this drive-through. Oh man, he dropped to P4. Open up the door for Cortijo and Grodinis.
Somebody off the road as well. Grantas Garetskas 5 seconds up in front of Jan Nims, doing a fantastic job, and he's gonna take this one to the flag. And Matas Mendeles, I don't think he expected it. He's gone from 4th to then 3rd, and now up into the lead of the race after Dominikas Grodinis got that penalty after Cortijo, well, miscalculated really with his tires. After Leo O'Brien got his penalty, Matas Mendeles takes a very unexpected win by 5 seconds up in front of a charging Cortijo, who finishes in 2nd. Dominikas Grodinis, who was dominant here tonight, he's going to finish only in 3rd. Leo O'Brien finishes in 4th.
Prizabilka is in the pit lane. I think he was further down the order. He's not 4th. He went into the pit lane due to some troubles or maybe damage. Garetskas.
Maybe he just finished early. He finished maybe behind Mendeles and just went
Yeah,
back to the
maybe.
pit.
Yep, most likely. That's a nice catch.
Grantas Garetskas, well, he drove a perfect race here today and showed everybody how it's done. He's gonna finish ahead of Jan Nims by 5 whole seconds after 45 minutes, so still pretty close. Grantas Garetskas takes a dominant win in M235i. Jan Nims finishes in 2nd, and it's gonna be Simon Speff taking that final step of the podium ahead of Toras Tunila, who just looked a little bit out of pace here. But still a great result for Toras Tunila to finish in 4th. It's a 1st and 4th for Dream to Drive. It's a 2nd and 3rd for John Clark Racing, and it's a win for Matas Mendeles, and it's a win for Grantas Garetskas here in round 2 from Vallelunga.
Plenty of action, and what we've seen this evening is Matas Mendeles being basically gifted with a win 2 times. First, he was promoted to the lead in the M235i sprint race, the first one. Now he kind of found himself in the lead after a different strategy move by Cortijo, and of course the biggest loser is Grodinis, who took that 10-second stop-and-go penalty and still managed to finish 3rd after Leo O'Brien. To unknown reasons, taking a drive-through penalty on the very last lap of this race. Not sure how he received it, but maybe it was something internal by Assetto Corsa itself. But he has to take that 4th place finish in the 2nd race. Essa finished 5th, Brushino 6th, Kirno 7th, and Diana finishing 8th. And wow, Prizabilka, he has finished 22nd, 2 laps behind Holmwood, so not sure what's that about. Anyways, the M235i class greets Grantas Garetskas. He missed out in the first race. He came here as a rookie and dominated the whole thing, even in the qualifying session and in the race. Never lost the lead, not in the qualifying session, not in the race. Took the checkered flag, and that's a nice welcome for the driver from Lithuania. Jan Nimts took the second spot, and his teammate Simon Speth from Sean Clark Racing finished third, ahead of Tauras Tunila, the second Dream to Drive driver, who finished fourth, Rachmanian fifth, Tarchali sixth, Abdelhari seventh, Blumke eighth, Lapo ninth, Niskansen 10th, Viviani 11th, Wu 12th, and Holmwood taking that 13th spot in the M235i class. Do we have anything more to say? I think the least we can say, looking at both of the races taking place in this championship, don't wait any longer. There's still plenty of races left in this championship, and plenty of races happening on the World Sim Series platform with actually chances of winning some nice sim equipment. Talking about the Conspit pedals, you can join free races every day, happening every couple of hours. Find your rivals and have such similar nice racing. If you want to participate in this championship, you can always join slightly later. This is a 6 rounds championship. 5 rounds count towards the overall results, but you can still join this action. Hopefully you liked it, and yep, thanks Gustas for being with us this evening.
Yep, it's been a pleasure and a fantastic event here at Vallelunga. Can't wait to see what it brings us in
Nordschleife?
It's Nordschleife, yep, at the
yep.
Nordschleife.
Yep, so the next event we'll see a huge track, and that's going to be a big difference. So see you then, a couple of weeks time. Have a good evening, and yep, see you then.
Night.